Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jason White. This is my channel, Jason's Weird Reads. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing, especially if you like horror, dark science fiction, dark fantasy books, and comment down below and we will discuss some books. Alright, so this is a recent a recent book buying binge, I guess you could call it. Most of these books I've bought within the last, well, pretty much since the pandemic was announced, that the coronavirus was a pandemic. And you're just about to see how I can waste my money when the chips are looking kind of grim. Do chips look grim? I don't know, but I think you know what I mean. Anyway, so I got a lot of books here to discuss, and I want to point out that I did get all these books. There's a couple I bought for full price, but most of them I got because of BookBub. And other deals that I found, but they're all books I've been wanting to get, and there's still a couple books I want to get still. It's never ending, but you guys know what that's like, right? Okay, I'm going to start off with the physical books, because most of these books are ebooks. The first one I got for free because they contacted me, and I was very happily surprised that they did, and what a beautiful book that they send me. It's L. Ron Hubbard's Writers of the Future. And this is number 36, and they've been doing this for, well, if they do it yearly, then 36 years. They've been doing this forever, and the cover here is just awesome. They sent me a nice letter with it, and I also got some bookmarks, which is awesome. I love bookmarks. It's almost like they watched my channel and they know that I tend to lose my bookmarks. And also, there's, at the beginning of each story, there is an illustration, as you can see here. But at the beginning of the book, which I found really fascinating, I've never seen this before, they have the illustrations in color. And it's absolutely beautiful. So this, as I said, is a collection of short stories. It's an anthology. Basically, they like to highlight people that they think are going to be pretty successful writers, and they like to sprinkle some more popular writers in with them, so that people will, it's kind of a pretty, it's a strategy that you see often in these things. And so the authors that you may know of are, Catherine Kurt, Jody Lynn Nye, and Nnedi Okorafor. And there's also like a short story and an interview, I think, with L. Ron Hubbard. To be quite honest with you, I was never a big fan of where L. Ron Hubbard went with, the whole religious thing that he did. But overall, I'm really excited to read this. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I want to thank everyone who was involved in sending me that. Right, the next is a series that I bought because I fell into this book. It's Robin Hood, Shamans Crossing. Now, there's a lot of people on Goodreads and Amazon who hate this book. I don't understand, though. I think the reason why they hate it is because it's not Fitzchivalry as the main character. This main character is Navarre Burville. I've read this first book, and because I liked it so much, I went and got the other two in the trilogy. And that's Forest Mage, which I'm going to be starting soon, hopefully, and Renegade's Magic. Now, having just said what I said, this book is still, it's not as good as the Farseer trilogy and that whole series of books. But it's still freaking good. I really like it. So I don't want to get into like a review here because we have other things that we have to get into. So that was the physical books. Now I'm going to move on to the audiobooks. I got Gateways to Abomination by Matthew Bartlett. And this one, funny enough, well, not funny enough, this one isn't interesting enough is what I wanted to say, is narrated by Jon Padgett. Now, Jon Padgett's the author of Secrets to Ventriloquism. It's a book I talk about probably too much on this channel, especially when I started it. Yeah, I don't see it. But anyways, he he narrated his own book, the ventriloquism book, and it's a collection of short stories too. And he did such a phenomenal job. He's a ventriloquist himself, and so he knew how to do the voices. And so I was really excited when they announced a year or two ago that he was going to narrate Matthew Bartlett's debut collection. I believe it's his debut, Gateways to Abomination, because, well, first of all, I love that book as well. I read it, I forget when, a few years ago anyway, and I love Jon Padgett, so it's like a marriage made in hell. Anyways, these, like I said, is a collection of short stories. I can't wait to see what Jon Padgett does with them, and I highly recommend it. It's very much in the weird fiction vein. These stories are, they're not easy, but they're fascinating. They're full of weird, dark imagery, and I'm going to leave it at that because it's really something you have to experience. Alright, next up on the audiobook front, I got The Complete Crow by Brian Lumley. Now, I got this because I've never read Titus Crow, and this is like the beginning of the Titus Crow adventures, so to speak. And from my understanding, I just started this a little while ago. I'm like 2 stories in, and the second story is like a novella length story, so I'm about halfway through that. And like I said, I've read some of the Necroscope books, but I never read the Titus Crow books. I didn't even know until recently that Titus Crow was, actual character or books. I didn't know that Brian Lumley had another series. But I did know that he wrote extensively within the Lovecraftian universe, and that's what these short stories are. Titus Crow is like a paranormal detective, and he runs into a lot of occult-like action and mysteries, and it just sounds like my cup of tea, and so far I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I'm in the second story, so we're going to see where that goes, and that's not the only Brian Lumley you're going to see on this list. Alright, I also got The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I attempted to read this book last year for, it was Space Opera September in September of 2019. And I only got about halfway. I had to put it down because I had other reading obligations, but I was really loving it. And because I got about halfway, and it's like well over 6 months now since I've read it, I need to go back and start again, because I'm not going to remember all the little things. And so I thought the best way to do this would be to listen to it on audiobook, because I really want to read this book, and I want to read the series, because it's phenomenal. I love it. Alright. And I believe I found it for like dirt cheap too. I think they had it on sale for $4.95. And I once I saw that, I was like, yep, click, buy. Also, The Reality Dysfunction by Peter F. Hamilton. This book I was supposed to be reading right now, and I did start it, and I made it until like chapter 2 or 3. And it took me by surprise. This book is weird, and it's weird in a good way, but I wasn't expecting it. I need time to digest where this book and this series is going before I continue, because there was like spaceships giving birth to eggs that cracked into other spaceships, and I need to start over again with that kind of concept in mind, and maybe then I can tackle it. It's nothing at all like the other book I've read by him, Judas Unchained, is it? I can't remember, but yeah. Anyways, moving on. I also got, this is the last audiobook that I got, Tiamat's Wrath by James S.A. Corey. This is book 8 in the Expanse series, and that's where I am at. I stopped listening to these books when this one was released. It was right near the beginning, actually, of my Wheel of Time binge read, and so I didn't really want to add in any extra thick books into my TBR, because I'm always concerned about the end of the year and how many books I've read at the end of the year. So So yeah, I didn't want to add in any thick books. So, but you know, I'm anxious to continue the journey with Holden and crew. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the bulk of what this video is really about. I may have to stop it and continue it later. So I was watching Cameron Chaney review a book, and it's by an author I've been wanting to check out lately, and this one I believe I bought it. No, I put it on my Kindle Unlimited. So this is the first part of this is the Kindle Unlimited books. My notes were butchered in some way. Anyway, so the first ebook that I put on my Kindle Unlimited is The End of the Beginning by John D. Taff. If I remember, I will put Cameron's review somewhere. I think it's up here. And you can go check that out. But I've been wanting to read Jon D. Taff for a while, and it wasn't necessarily a, oh, where should I start? But in Cameron's video, he's like, this is a good place to start. And I was like, okay, I will take your challenge, sir. So I went and bought this book, and I'm hoping that I will read it soon. It's a collection of short stories, I believe. And, oh no, it's a collection of novellas. And from what he was saying, it's a good range of Jon D. Taff's voice and the material that he brings to you, the reader. And they're dark and they have emotional punches to them. And that just sounds like my cup of tea, so I'm on board. Also, for my Kindle Unlimited, I got I Am Not Your Final Girl by Claire C. Holland. This is a book I've been wanting to read for a long time. It's a book of poetry, and it's very feminist from my understanding, and I'm all good for that. This book has been, I believe, Rachel from Shades of Orange and Stephanie from That's What She Read. I believe they both champion this book on the podcast Books in the Freezer, along with their own personal channels. And so I've been looking forward to read this for a while, and I saw, just while skimming through books on Kindle, on the Kindle store, I saw that it was available for Kindle Unlimited, so I added it. And also, because of Rachel from the Shades of Orange, she mentioned a book by Jeff Strand, and it's called Ferocious, and this is a story about animals that suddenly start attacking people. And a father and a daughter go to a cabin in the middle of the woods, and that's where they get attacked by these animals, by the wildlife. And to me, that just sounds interesting. And I've only read one thing by Jeff Strand, and that was a short story in the Christmas anthology. I can't remember the name of it, but it was just so funny. It was almost like something that came out of my own head. It was, I could identify with it, with that weird and sick sense of humor that was in that story. So I want to read more Jeff Strand because of that short story. And Rachel sold me on Ferocious, so here we are. Stay tuned for video number 2, where I'm going to go into the ebooks I actually purchased. And thank you for watching. Keep being creative. I hope you're all being safe and practicing social or physical distancing, however you prefer to say it. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.